Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to a new chess strategy and tactics video. So in this video we'll talk about a very important subject in chess endgames. Today we'll talk about the queen and pawn chess endgame in which one opponent has an extra pawn. And it's really tough to sometimes convert these positions into a win because your opponent still has the most powerful piece on the board, has still the queen on the board, and in order to win somehow this endgame you have to include your king into the attack. But when you play with your king towards the center, then you're vulnerable to some attacks by your opponent's queen. So as I said, it's really an important subject for us to solve here. Probably this position happened to you, happened to me of course many times. So let's see now how to win this endgame with an extra pawn here with the white pieces. And the beautiful example that I prepared here for you is an amazing gameplay by the two top engines Stockfish 16. So we have here the latest version of Stockfish against another top engine, really the second probably best engine in the world, Leela C0. So let's see now how Stockfish is playing this endgame. Can Stockfish win this endgame with an extra pawn? So first of all, what we have to do, and what of course Stockfish did, is to play with the king towards the center. We want to get the king close enough to the action. Now Leela C0 tried queen to E8. The idea about king to E8, pardon me, with the idea about this move is to get the king closer here and stop the potential movement of the pawn on the d file. But Stockfish is not allowing that. Plays now very important move, really one of the most important moves of the study. Queen to E4, not allowing the king to get here towards the center of the board. If that happens, then we have queen to H4 and the pawn is lost here on H5. The same thing happens after king to D7. Queen to F5 is simply here winning the game again for white. We will simply take another pawn with two extra pawns. I think it will be really game over. If we take out the pawn on H5, then we can create here also passer on the H file. So the position would be simply too stretched for the queen. Two passers, one in the center and one on the edge of the board, is simply too much to handle here for black. So that's why after queen to E4, Leela C0 was forced to escape with the king and again towards the king side. We have H4. Stockfish fixes now the structure. This pawn on H3 was a little bit weak, we have to say it, because in some lines, if you could just imagine, when you have the king here on B5 and you're trying maybe to get your king somehow here on this side of the board, you could get a check on D7 and then you lose the pawn on H3, it's not easy then again to play this position. So that's why Stockfish fixed the structure with the move H4. We have now queen to C5 and now queen to D3 here by the fish, again threatening to push the pawn further. We have queen to D6 and now again a very important move here by Stockfish, queen to D1. And this is again a very thematic move which again makes many things. First of all, black has to defend this pawn and also creates here this move G6 creates a solid structure on the king side. But this move does a different thing. This move clears now the path for the king. So the king has now a clear idea to get maybe here on G7. And if that happens, if you manage to get our king on the most active square, then I guarantee you will win this endgame. So it's hard to still accomplish that, but let's see now how the big fish is doing this in this beautiful endgame. So queen to D4, we have king to G8, king to F3. As I said, now the king is coming. King to H7, king to E2. Stockfish goes towards the center. Risks, of course, some checks, but don't worry, you cannot get checkmated only by your opponent's queen. So that's why after queen to E4, new check by Leela. Stockfish goes now to F4 and is hoping to get the king on H6. Leela C0 delivers a new check. We have queen to E5, and the problem for black is here that you cannot deliver it again an annoying check on B4. Then you basically just improving the position of the king. If you play something like queen to G4, mission accomplished. The king is now on the most active square. There is now even a checkmate threat. You have to now start to escape from this checkmate, but now with D6 we lock the escape route. The king cannot get here on E7 after queen to H8. It would be game over. There's simply nothing that can be done. You cannot prevent it here. Queen to H8, checkmate. So after queen to E5, that's why Leela C0 played queen to B6, which clears now also now the path again for the pawn. We have F3. Stockfish again is not rushing with some pawn movements. He's playing now F3, again creates a solid structure here on the king side. We have queen to A5 and now finally king to G5. creating now this path for the king, hoping to get the king on h6 and then maybe deliver checkmate on g7. We have queen to d8 by Lila c0, and now comes a very, very important motif. Stockfish gives up now the pawn on d5, allows here Lila c0 to take the pawn, but now after king to h6, I would say it's almost game over here for black. Black has to now escape again to f8. We have f4 again, creating a solid structure here. We have queen to d7. Now check, new check by the fish, and now a beautiful zigzag motif. A couple of checks here and a couple of threats again to deliver checkmate on g7. Forces again Lila c0 to go to f8. New check, and the issue now, very important move now also, queen to b4, is not allowing here again the king to escape here towards the king side. Now after king to g8, queen to b8 is checkmate. Immediately you just can cover, and now with queen to e8 it's game over. So after queen to b4, now comes the tricky plan. So here we have king to e8 and now king to g7. Mission accomplished. That was, as I said, the main goal of Stockfish. First, creating this clear path, sacrificing the pawn, but now the king is really on a brilliant square, and now Stockfish goes simply for the f7 weakness. We have queen to e7. First, again, a new check here by Stockfish, and now f5. Trying, of course, to split the pawn chain. If g takes f5 happens, then we have, again, new two weaknesses. But even if you don't react, again, with this pawn will be taken, and again, it's not working. Lila c0 tried g takes f5. Stockfish took now, and you see now two new weaknesses in black's position. f7 weak, h5 weak, so it's game over here for black. But Lila c0 battled, of course. Stockfish delivers a new check, and now again a new check here on d6, which also protects now simply the g3 pawn. Stockfish grabs now the pawn on f7. Lila c0 is trying to battle here, but now again new checks, and Stockfish grabbed another pawn, and I would say this is really game over here for black. So a very, very important technique you saw. First of all, creating this path for the king, including the king into the attack. Then very risky, of course, in some, maybe in some other positions, is to give up your extra pawn, but Stockfish did it in a really, really effective way. Gave it up just in order to get the king on a bit of square g7, and it was game over afterwards for Lila c0. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed the study. Very important stuff, I think. Could happen to you, could happen to me, of course, because you see, not so easy maybe to find this move. So really, really great game here again by Stockfish 16. So, okay, if you want to see more about chess endgames, middle game strategies, opening principles, and similar stuff, check out our basics in chess series and also our chess strategy and tactics videos. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.